Let's talk to another lawmaker right now. Republican Congressman Meehan is chairman of the Subcommittee on Counterterrorism and Intelligence. He joins me from Pennsylvania. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Carol. Nice to be with you.
It's great to be with you. I'll just warn you, when Nancy Pelosi begins speaking, we'll probably go to that press conference, but hopefully you will stay with us and we can get you on the other side. Is that okay?
You bet.
Yeah, I don't want to be disrespectful in any way. I want to talk about David Petraeus and whether he should testify in these Benghazi hearings. What do you think?
Well, as a former prosecutor, I would suggest that he's material. He's a material witness, and I believe he not only needs to, but should. And I have heard reports that he will. He's necessary. He understands and was there during the time when the Benghazi events occurred. Look, we know a lot about, more has unfolded and what you understand in these last 24 hours about email chains. There's still a great deal we don't know about Benghazi, and that's really the critical issue.
Yeah, and I just got word, Congressman, just as you were speaking, that CNN has confirmed that General Petraeus will be testifying at that committee hearing, so that must be music to your ears.
Well, it is important because, again, I think he brings the ability to talk specifically about what he knew and when he knew it, which is the essence of the questioning. I mean, just the revelation by Ms. Broadwell that there may have been, the CIA may have been holding prisoners at a compound. I mean, this is the kind of information to lead to a whole lot of questions, and I think he's, again, a material person who would be in a position to answer them.
Congressman, I think that there's a sentiment out there that that's why General Petraeus didn't want to testify, because he was going to be asked about this affair with Paula Broadwell. Will you be asking? I mean, should there be questions asked of General Petraeus about Ms. Broadwell?
Well, my hope is that the focus is on finding out what happened in Benghazi. To the extent that there may be a relationship of information that Ms. Broadwell has brought forward that relates to what went on in Benghazi, I think that's an appropriate line of questioning. There may be an appropriate line at another occasion asking about whether there's any kinds of security issues associated with Ms. Broadwell's access to information that she either shouldn't have had or shouldn't have shared. But my sense, again, as a prosecutor, is that would be a different line of inquiry, and I'm particularly concerned about what went on in Benghazi and the loss of life of those brave men who were there.
And Congressman, I'm going to ask you to stand by, because Nancy Pelosi is announcing that she wants to continue to keep her post as the House Minority Leader, and as you can see, she invited Democratic women of the House of Representatives to stand with her in a show of force, she says, for Democratic women in the House of Representatives. Let's go back to Washington, to another part of Washington. We're talking to Congressman Meehan. Thank you so much for sticking around. We appreciate it.
Happy to do so.
Can I ask you one question about Nancy Pelosi?
Sure.
Okay. She wasn't exactly reaching out to Republicans in that news conference. She was saying that this is a show of force for Democrats in the House, and she made that very clear. In your mind, as a Republican, what does that say?
Well, I hope what we don't do is begin to divide the country again and look for ways at the outset to look at division. I worked hand in hand in my area on the Violence Against Women Act, had many women at the top of the offices that I ran, and have a deep respect for their accomplishments and what they contribute. And so I echo in many ways the necessity for that to be appreciated and for women to play a more meaningful role. But we're one country as well, and so long as it's being produced as a part of, an empowerment, I get it, but we can't be dividing as well.
Many Republicans, Congressman, think Nancy Pelosi is the problem, for at least part of the problem, for gridlock in Congress. What do you think?
Well, I'm hoping that what she is a known commodity, and all of the leaders at this point in time are going to have what I call Nixon to China moments, in which the real test of their leadership is going to be their ability to break away from the constraints of what they've normally been, tied to, and reach out and use that leadership pulpit to get us to where we need for the best interest of the nation. And so I'm hoping that perhaps as a known leader, she will have the credibility to be able to do that. I think the same of the president. With that election, he has the ability to reach across and try to get compromise without having to fear that somehow he'll be constrained by, the elements on his side. And of course, the same is true for our leadership.
And I'd just like to ask you about women, because, many people say the Republican Party has a woman problem. So what piece of legislation will immediately fly through Congress to make women out there happy?
Well, I'm not sure that there's a particular piece of legislation. I think sensitivity to issues. I pointed back again to the Violence Against Women Act. As a prosecutor, I dealt closely with many who were victims, and that's a real empowerment issue. If you understand how a woman is victimized and how she's trying to retain the control, not really just over herself, but often for the benefit of her children. So the kind of sensitivity in which you understand the circumstances that the women are facing, and then speaking to that issue where you resolve something that helps them to gain control of their situation a little bit better. So I don't think we have to try to look for magic bullets. I think we have to listen and then be responsive to things that really help women who are often the breadwinners in single-parent families and often have a lot of issues with worried about their children's welfare as well.
Congressman Meehan from Pennsylvania, thank you so much for sticking around. We appreciate that.
Delighted to be here. Thanks so much.
Thanks so much.